Morning, everyone. Welcome to our community worship with the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. I am Dawn Dirks, your worship weaver today. Today, we are sharing this service through a new experiment, widening out our sanctuary to include both the Rugby Road Sanctuary and the online sanctuary. We are blending worship here in the Rugby Road Sanctuary with a few folks invited to sit in our pews, with all who are participating fully in the Zoom sanctuary. We're practicing this way of worship in our widened out sanctuaries, preparing for and hoping for when more of us can be in person, and still many of us will be participating by Zoom. I am so glad to welcome all of you into this expanded kind of sanctuary. Our physical Rugby Road Sanctuary was built in 1950 on hilltop land acquired by the church after World War II. For centuries before us, this land has been the dwelling place of the Monacan people. Later, this land was part of plantations of the Norris family and then Rugby, who each enslaved African Americans for labor and for profit. We honor all those who dwelt here before, and all those whose lives led to this moment of our gathering as a community of memory and hope. One of our board members, the awesome Kelsey and Isaac, are here to welcome everyone. Kelsey.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelsey Cowger, and I'm a member at large of our Board of Trustees. And this is my almost 11th-month-old Isaac, who's here as somebody who goes to all the meetings. I am so grateful to be able to provide an official welcome to all of you from the Board of Trustees, and to express my real joy for being able to be back in the sanctuary this morning. I was asked to share either a favorite vacation activity or a spiritual practice, and I can combine those two things by telling you about a trip we just took to Delaware, which was Isaac's first chance to be in the ocean, and he decided that the ocean made him fall asleep. So every day on our Delaware trip, we would walk out into the ocean, and I would hold him, and he would take a big, long nap on my shoulder, and I would sit there, and I would watch the waves, and just to have a second to kind of contemplate and take a breath. And particularly after Reverend Alex's sermon on rest last week, that was really, really resonant to me. So again, welcome. We're so glad you're here, both in person and virtually. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kelsey and Isaac. It's good to have you and Isaac here, our in-person greeters too. Next week, the service will all be Zoom-based, and the Rugby Road Sanctuary will not be opened. But we're hoping to continue this experiment of combined sanctuaries in August. Greg Townsend is joining me today as co-worship weaver, and will be sharing your joys and sorrows. Reverend Linda is preaching, and behind the scenes, in the balcony of our Rugby Road Sanctuary and from off-site computers, Sean Scally, Catherine Venezuela Parsons, and Caroline Hines are the tech talent blending our various modes of presence. We are grateful for the musical gifts of James Smith and the video artistry of Ellie Ransom today. And now, let us join our hearts and minds in worship. May this hour offer a chance to play with ideas, to open your heart and mind to floating, to laughing and crying, to dance in your spirit, swimming in your soul, to living in the unknowns of our lives, but trusting in the flow that carries us all.
morning. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. We invite you to do these hand motions along with Dawn. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of open minds. This is a church of helping hands. This is a church of loving hearts. The Rugby Road Sanctuary is lit. If you have a chalice in the sanctuary of your home, please light it now, and we will let all our lights shine.
This little light of ours, we're gonna let it shine. This little light of ours, we're gonna let it shine. This little light of ours, we're gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere you go and everywhere you are. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to be with all of you. People here in the pews and all of you in the sanctuaries of your home. I want to allow for a fact that there's maybe a bumpy service in some ways. I know that the sound is not sounding great at home, and I know that sometimes our screens are coming and going, but that's why we're experimenting. It's the only way you learn, right? By trying things out. What I wanted to talk to you all about today is one of my summer things. Actually, it's a year-round thing now, but I have always loved swimming, especially in the summer. I love the cool water and the fun. And more, I love the way, as I have been swimming for many, many years now, I can meditate in the water. You know, the Summer Olympics are starting up next weekend. You'll see a lot of excellent swimming. But me, I have never been on a swim team. In fact, I've never even taken swim lessons. I just sort of have picked it up over the years and have learned by watching others and knowing what feels good. But I've always loved to swim in the pool, in the ocean, in rivers, in lakes. And I know that I'm not, that a lot of people aren't as fond of swimming as me. I've known people that hate water, don't even want to go into the water. And I know some people who go into the water, but then they're afraid of swimming. There's a fear they have. These things happen to many people. An Olympic champion made the decision that it was important to him to help people change those fears and to learn to swim. Let's watch what he has to share with us.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Is it on? Can you hear me? Friends, today is my last Sunday as a worship weaver here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. Today is perhaps the last day that I will enjoy Sunday service physically in this space, our beautiful sanctuary. Next Sunday, I will Zoom in from my Crozet home, which will become someone else's home later that week. And on Saturday, July 31st, Rowan and I will depart on our grand adventure. 5 days cross country with our 2 black cats, Nigel and Charlotte, to our new home in Oregon. After that, you'll still see me. I'll be zooming in from Oregon. I'm very excited to learn about the 2 UU congregations near our new home. I'm excited to learn what they're all about and how Rowan and I may connect with the new congregation. But this Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville has been my spiritual home for a long time now. How do I summarize in a few words what this congregation has meant to me and my family over the years? It's been 20 years, and truly I cannot but know that I will carry many memories with me. I will miss you all. And always I will remember with deep and abiding gratitude the love my family and I have felt here. This UU congregation cares about the larger community around us. We are so pleased that the Social Action Collection for July is a new nonprofit in Charlottesville, the Buck Squad, which stands for Brothers United to Cease the Killing. This grassroots organization was formed last winter, and in the past 6 months, they have de-escalated 49 conflicts and decreased the number of gunshots heard to preserve the safety of our community. Let's hear a little about their work.
Our mission is to reduce the cycle of gun-related crimes and homicides through education and economic empowerment by restoring a sense of commitment and community and personal development.
We canvass high-risk neighborhoods and educate community members on our mission. We try to establish a culture by the work we do that displays our customs and practices of preventing more gun violence. We are known to the community as violence interrupters. We use mediation, mobilization, and motivation as a means to carry out our mission. Violence interrupters use their experience and credibility to connect with the highest risk individuals and intervene in potentially deadly conflicts. While the idea of using ex-offenders to stop violence may seem unorthodox, the violence interrupter concept has shown proven results in reducing violent crimes in the areas where such programming is being implemented. Our goal is to move away from the thought that bad people or those with low morals are committing these acts, but to look at the cause of violence through a scientific and mental health lens to gauge how to treat each case. Engagement is key to our visibility in the community to gain the trust and respect of our neighbors to trust us with managing the well-being of the community.
We encourage everyone to be generous in supporting this local grassroots effort. Your gifts may be made online, through text, or the old-fashioned way of sending a check to us with SAC in the memo line. And we invite and are grateful for the gifts you make to sustain the ministry of this congregation. We give thanks for all that you love, and we encourage you to be generous in putting your love into action with your gifts. May your donation like your love, go out into the world. Please join me in dedicating the offering now, saying these words. We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely and for the highest good.
Thank you, James. That's beautiful music. It's so lovely to have your sounds washing over us. I would like to share a poem with you from one of my favorite poets, Denise Levertov. She calls the poem The Avowal. As swimmers dare to lie face to the sky, and water bears them, as hawks rest upon air, and air sustains them, so I would learn to attain free fall and float into Creator's spirit, deep embrace, knowing no effort earns that all-surrounding grace.
Like a river, I've got peace.
This time of year when it is hot, I love to go to outdoor swimming pools. I swim for exercise, but I also love just floating, just being held by the water. I can relax. And nowadays, because I have little grandchildren, I love swimming with them. It's a different experience. I don't teach them swimming. I leave that to their parents, but I do enjoy showing them how to float on their backs. Even my little 2-year-old granddaughter, still in her floaties, she loves to show me how she can join me in back floating. Her little tiny toes come up to the surface of the water and meet my feet. Since I was a little girl, it's been a tradition in my family to do a little back floating whenever and wherever we're swimming. It's especially wonderful at the ocean. We will swim out beyond where the waves break, and then we'll all float on our backs and let our toes show, and we form a circle, feet in the center, for a ritual gathering for a few moments. This has been especially meaningful when we haven't seen each other much during the year. We live in different places, and we know we won't see each other again all together for a while. So we float, and we let our bodies rest, and we're held by the water, and we look at the sky, and we look at each other's faces. Swimming, when I was a child, was for fun, splashing, underwater somersaults, jumping, diving. I used to do underwater tea parties. Do they still do that? And I always loved the pool, and I loved the ocean and the lakes. We did a lot of lake swimming in Michigan. When I grew older, it became a regular part of my exercise routine, swimming laps. I do 30 or 40, back and forth, back and forth. It's become a part of my prayer time. It's a spiritual practice and mindfulness. It's a meditation. In the summer, I swim laps every single day outdoors with trees and sky around me and the sound of children's laughter. In the winter, I swim indoors in the more quiet places, the big indoor swimming pools. There's just the company of other lap swimmers when I swim there. And I'm held in the comfort of the special sounds of that indoor space, a world wrapped in water, breathing, echoing sounds. Now, I'm a lover of metaphor and meaning. So, of course, swimming has become for me a way to understand life and the spirit. Levertov reminds us that, like the wind holds up the birds who soar on the high supported air, and like the water that can hold our bodies when we learn to float, our lives, our souls, our spirits can be like that too, if we can trust in the power of what Levertov calls creator spirit deep embrace. What I might say is the power of the universe and all that is. If we trust that we're being supported, we can rest for a while. When I teach my grandchildren how to float on their backs, I have to assure them that it takes less effort and not more. Because you don't have to paddle or kick. In fact, if you start paddling or kicking, you probably won't be floating. So you have to let your body feel the water, and it will hold you. If you can become comfortable floating, you can relax and rest and realize that you are being held. I actually think it's a great safety technique to teach children that, just like they teach them how to, what do you call it when you're in the water and you're treading? Treading water helps you, but even more, if you know how to float well, you can float, and that really rests you. Denise Levertov says that what she's longing for in her spiritual life is the recognition that no effort earns that all surrounding grace. Doesn't take effort. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be hardworking to be able to feel the water, to feel the spirit that supports you. and it's there. We are living in troubled times. I say that today, and I also know I could have said that at any time in the many decades of my living. And I know our wise ancestors also had their troubling days that they lived in. And the Buddhists remind us, life is pain and suffering. That is life. And so here we are living in really troubling times. And when I swim, I am reminded that this kind of practice, this swimming practice, it's physical, but it's also a spiritual practice for me. It's what keeps me from feeling like I am going to drown in all the troubles of the world, in the tsunami waves of despair and violence, racism and hatred. In swimming, I practice breathing. I practice the movements that move me forward. I practice mindfulness. And I also practice the letting go. In other words, I let that water hold me, and it cares for me. And I need that kind of spiritual practice so I won't drown in the waves of despair and trouble when I leave the pool and go back out onto the streets. It is my hope that everyone, that each of you have found or will find something like this practice in your life. Now, practice is something that keeps you afloat in troubled times. When I say practice, I do mean practice, something that you do regularly, frequently, repeatedly, no matter how you're feeling. And whatever the world is doing or however you're feeling about it, you keep to your practice. You go out there and do that run, even if you're a little tired and it's a little hot. Or you play those scales, even though you played beautifully yesterday. You keep your practice day in and day out, not to get better at it, because that's not the goal. The practice is so that your mind and the muscles and the memory of your spirit of that activity can become a part of you. The very practice of breathing and the rhythm of my muscles and the power of this water holding me, that is so much now a part of me, it helps me in times of crisis. When I'm nowhere near the water, that practice has become a part of me, and I can keep breathing, and I can keep feeling that support of whatever it is that I call grace. You want to have a practice that you get so a part of your life, it is with you when the crisis hits. And there will be a crisis that'll hit you, that'll try to drown you. Now, what could you name that's your spiritual practice? Just like physical exercise, running every day, or exercising at the gym, a spiritual practice could be an activity that you're able to sustain. So don't do something that you're going to wear yourself out at and give it up after 3 days. Something that you can do every day. So it could be reading poetry. It could be writing. It could be stirring the ingredients of your favorite tomato sauce. Maybe it's walking. Maybe it's listening to music or playing music. Whatever it is, whatever your practice is that you can do every day, you have to be able to let it sustain you and keep you in shape and feed your spirit so that you start to look forward to it, that a day without it, you'd miss it. Like if you're driving 5 days to Oregon, by the time you get there, you can't wait to get back to your practice of dancing. Whatever your practice is, it will help you handle the waves in life, the emotional waves, the storms of what's going on in the world, your grief, the times of your illness. If your practice keeps you in spiritual shape, when a big wave hits you, you know how to breathe through a wave. You know how to rise to the surface again, how to use the current so you can swim with it and out of the riptide. And your spiritual practice will keep you in shape so that you can help other people around you. Because when an unpracticed swimmer starts to drown, they flail, they panic, and they make things worse for themselves. And so lifeguards have to be trained to understand how to support the struggling person so that the lifesaver doesn't get pulled down by the person that's panicked and struggling and drowning. So your spiritual practice will help you be calm and centered enough in yourself and your capacity to not panic that you'll be able to keep your cool in the face of others who are struggling. And then you can assist them rather than get caught up in their own struggling, rather than being dragged down with them. You can help them come to the surface again and breathe again. One of the favorite things the Dalai Lama ever said was something like this. He said, the key to life is don't panic. Don't panic. That's the summary of it all. And it takes practice, day in and day out, so that you can develop the physical and mental and spiritual muscles that know how to stay calm, how to be strong, how to be focused when those big storms, those big waves try to knock you over. And I don't have to tell you, there's a lot of strong waves and storms out there right now. The most powerful and effective leaders in social justice movements throughout the centuries have all had deep spiritual lives, and they've kept to the practices that sustained them and grounded them. For some, it was reading the scriptures from their holy book. Do you have scriptures that ground you, words that calm you, that center you? If you don't have a scripture yet, if it's not the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, create your own scriptures out of the poems, the song lyrics, the literature that inspires you. And then bring them together, create your own bound book of them, and go back to them and read those words daily or weekly, repeatedly and consistently. Let those scriptures ground you. And for some prophetic leaders in our history, the spiritual practice was praying regularly, speaking to God. How do you express your feelings, your longings, your worries? If you don't know how to pray, or if you don't have a God to pray to, find a different way to get those words out, those thoughts, those worries, those anguishes, those pleas. Maybe writing or singing, maybe just talking with a friend regularly. And then those worries will come out and the thanksgivings can be heard as well. By you especially. For some great moral leaders, what has sustained them in their spirit has been music, or family traditions, or rituals, like walking the labyrinth, or lighting candles. Something that sustains them. Find for yourself what helps you feel whole and grounded and restored so that you can face the challenges of the world. We are all traveling through this life together, and I'm so pleased to be on this journey with you. We're facing the storms together. We are swimming together to get to the other side of this pool, or to the other side of the stream or the river, or wherever the flow is carrying us. We're swimming together. And through it all, I hope that each of you can find a spiritual practice or nurture the one you have found that will keep you afloat, that will keep you breathing, that will keep you sustained by the power of life and love. May it be so. May it be so.
We are living beneath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can work worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I am alone, I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced at the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. Imperfection, it be my crime. In humility, I will listen. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living beneath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. On this journey through thoughts and feelings, finding intuition, my head, my heart, I am gathering the tools together. I'm preparing to do my part. All of those who have come before me band together and be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living beneath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. All of the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since life's beginning, and we never noticed they were there. We can balance at the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live together. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living beneath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side.
We began this service by lighting the chalice flame, which is ours to share, and we extinguish it now, inviting each of you to carry that flame with you. And remember, as you go through this life, as you go through this day or this week, keep breathing, keep swimming, and we'll meet you there on the other side. Blessings be. And now a postlude before we have our social time.